Actions take place in the inexplicable, an apocalyptic event that devastates cities. It destroys property and takes millions of lives. Media reports about evacuation. Citizens, the situation is complicated by major traffic jams and fires. And a huge crater forms in the center of the city. A man named Mark. At first he cannot understand where he is or how to get there. They caught him and tried to call for help. Moreover, his leg got stuck in a stone box, and he fell into despair. Try to break free. Realizing that it is difficult for him to do this alone, he tries. Call your wife, but there is no signal in the dungeon. He leaves her a voicemail that he can't reach. Before the children, and therefore she should hurry. And then he hears the sound of a helicopter. Seeing him high above him, Mark is happy and thoughtful. Help came, but the next moment a helicopter arrived. Falls to the edge of the abyss. Mark realized that now an explosion would follow with the iron. A fishing rod that fell under the hand with incredible effort. He frees his leg and manages to climb into the tunnel. The ground behind us collapses, blocking the path to the surface. He manages to see something in the light of the Be brave, take it off, and then bandage it. And a little guy in his clothes. After some agreement, he tries to decide. What should he do next? Looking around, I realized that no one would come to him. Help! He's taking matters into his own hands. Mark with a flashlight and lighter barely shines on the road. He makes his way through the rubble and soon finds himself in one of the tunnels. He sees blood on stones. As he goes deeper into the tunnel, he finds a bag inside. There are documents in the name of Sarah Clayton and a video camera. Mark decides to keep it to himself because it might come in handy. With the gaze of a seeker, he looks around and crawls. Next, soon he finds a seriously wounded woman in the tunnel, whom he believes to be the owner of the bag. Mark brings her to her senses, but the woman behaves inappropriately and immediately asks for the water back. Mark will have to prove that he did not take anything from her. The man asks, but she suddenly falls silent. I'm trying to crawl away from him, despite the injury. Leg. Mark shouts after her, and then asks him to shut up. Because they can hear. The man does not understand who he is talking about and makes assumptions. Bandage her because her leg is bleeding a lot. Therefore, he has some understanding of first aid. The woman says she dropped her phone while still on the surface, and laughs when he hears Mark's assessment of the earthquake. In the end, all the people above really died completely, not from natural disaster. And now they too are ending. Assuming the woman is clearly not herself, Mark suggests. He has to find a way out along which he is ready to crawl forward. Her. The woman is sure that he wants to leave her and begins. Hysterical. He must assure him that he is ready to help, because he saw a photo of the child in her wallet. He is also a father of 2 children and will do anything for it. She returned to her loved ones. And then the woman admits that she is not Sarah Clayton. She stole this wallet and has no plans to give it back. Takio said. Then the man insists because he can move. Help will come faster and faster. And the woman grabs a gun and forces Mark. Give her the lighter and stay behind. They're walking down a tunnel when they hear something. Turn over. The woman immediately turns off the light because she is sure they will. They found each other. Mark doesn't understand who he's talking about or who he's asking. Given the camera, he tries to photograph his pursuers, but they are nowhere to be seen. He then asks his companion to walk faster, but turn around. He notices that she has already pulled away from him and Mark. I have to catch up with her. At the bus stop, the woman says that the elder will look for her. The brother takes the camera and calls it his own. Here, too, terrible noises are heard, and people are in a hurry. Fly as far as possible through the narrow tunnel. The pursuer gets lost again somewhere in the underground labyrinth. Tunnel. Mark turns on the camera, and they soon observe something. Movement in one of the cracks, but nothing is visible. Who is this? The couple continues walking and hears the sound of a chase behind them. But apparently the creature is too big to squeeze through. Into a narrow tunnel. And then the woman realizes that she has given up the pills. What does he need? She desperately wants to go back, but Mark assures her that he will. Others simply find them as they float to the surface. But she points the gun at him again and demands, "Come get your pills." A man must obey. He lights his way with a film camera and reaches the bubble, and will return. The woman puts the gun down and says she stumbled upon it. He encountered these creatures and saw how they fared. Pulled his sister's body out of a stuck car. She was picking up the girl from school. She saw her hand torn off and realized it was her sister. Dead. She doesn't know where the monsters came from, but she's sure. They can't be stopped. After asking Mark to shut up, he sets off. She continued, explaining that when she ran away, suddenly the ground broke and she fell. The monsters are huge, and it's unclear how you could track them down. People pass through these tunnels, but she hides from them. I heard a terrible noise. It did not stop. I was just running, and suddenly the ground beneath me cracked. Mark consoles Kate and gives her hope that everything won't happen. People died. At least they managed to escape, for example. Well, don't be so pessimistic. The woman ridicules his faith and love for his family. And then Mark admits that she will soon become his wife. For example, a little later, they reach an illuminated place, but it turns out that this is not a hole where the sun falls. Rays, only the flashlight is on. A woman experiences an attack of claustrophobia. Mark calms her down and encourages her to continue. But when he lifts the flashlight, it becomes visible. Its owner is dead. They search his pockets and find a bottle of alcohol. But Mark refuses to drink because he has never drunk before. 6 months, but now he can heal the wound. The couple then continues on their way, but suddenly a man appears. He comes to life, grabs Mark by the leg, and starts begging about help. Our heroes get scared, and what's more, they get very close to them. You can hear the sounds of monsters. Mark pulls his leg out, and in the light of the camera, they see how a deadly spider attacks him and brutally kills him. While the monster is busy hunting, the couple manages to escape. However, they find another tunnel and follow it. The woman feels worse, and Mark suggests she rest. He assures that he can rush forward and bring help. But she doesn't believe his promises because they are strangers to each other. The people, and she also pointed a gun at him, and twice. So he will go while he has strength. And he resigns because he's the only one. What makes them different from creatures? As they say, if you want to run away from a bear, do it. Hurry faster than the last one. And then it turns out that Mark is also armed with a knife and not. Will be bait. Now he asks. Calm down. However, the man attacks her and asks her to let him through. Forward. As the pair fight, they hear rats squealing, and then the roar of a monster is heard. And then he grabs Mark by the legs and drags him into the darkness. He screams and begs the woman to shoot, but she also shoots. Frightened, he hesitates, doesn't know what to do, and suddenly, she sees Mark crawling behind her. It turns out that he killed the monster with his knife, but he succeeded. Take care of him because he has already suffered too. The couple moves on and soon finds water in a broken pipe. The woman dials the number, hands it to Mark, and confesses that I admire him. And he admits that his son almost died 6 months ago in a fire caused by drunken carelessness. Brand. The incident destroyed his marriage and separated him from his family. And since then he has not drunk a drop of alcohol. But this will not help him protect his family. His comrade encourages him to be strong because he is everything. He remains the father and is obliged to provide the family with a means of subsistence. He talks about his brother, with whom there were many problems, and she is very grateful to him for taking care of her. About a naughty girl. But then she had to guess about siblings, and she didn't guess. He knows what to do. It's worse for a woman. He chokes from coughing. Mark assures that they will definitely survive, and she will find her brother. However, we need to make progress on this issue. They crawl further and realize that a dead end awaits them. There is no turning back. They simply cannot return. In the damn tunnel. And then they start pushing stones and soon look away. They have a kind of latch structure. After great effort, they will soon make a breakthrough into the illuminated corridor, above which a hatch is visible, leads to the surface. Mark invites his companion to try to open it. Grid, but things are not going very well for her. And then shots and roars of monsters are heard from above. The couple starts screaming, asking for help and screaming at the same time. The military wife arrives and promises to return and open the grill. But then Mark and his companion hug with joy. The roar of salvation is heard from above and pours out upon the people. Bloody rain from the bodies of rescuers. You see a spider-like monster bursting from above. And Mark calls for the woman to appear in the tunnel. She refuses, but he insists. Follow in front of you. Soon they came across a passage filled with water, and the man dives to find another way out. He encourages them to get back into the water and swim. And then, just before he dies, he says his name, Kate. Mark makes her believe that she can do it, to the end, and shines a flashlight on him as a sign. She was swimming, and Kate succeeds. The man also swims towards the exit and still hears, behind the sounds of monsters. As they sigh, they see another tunnel ahead, and get through. Mark suddenly sees the light of day ahead, and the time will soon come. Stand in front of a hole that you can see through. Surface of the earth. However, the girl crawls along a narrow corridor. At the end of the tunnel, Mark appears in front of her, following behind her. A giant spider, and the woman freezes in horror. But the spider falls into the abyss in front of them, and Mark pushes it. Satellite of the East. He makes his way forward, but injuries and illnesses take their toll. He falls into himself and exhausts himself. Despite Mark's attempts to save her, Kate dies. He blocks the narrow passage and deprives Mark of the opportunity. Exit. While a man tries to understand the sudden death of a girl, he hears monsters moving behind him. When he realizes they are close, he comes up with a plan. Move your body and exit the tunnel. Mark takes her gun, a bottle of liquor, and a lighter. And, having wet the body, the woman sets it on fire. It turns out he just does it all. Performance. Mark turns on the phone and watches the video with his children and wife and tells his dead comrade about his family and then turns the gun on himself, but it turns out that he fired. Mark then cries because he faints. He suddenly registers a signal on his phone and tries to call his wife, but cannot. He receives a voicemail from Liv with questions. He should stop feeling guilty and show himself at home in a critical situation. He also reveals to him the true nature of the monsters. These creatures quickly emerge from the ground, grow in daylight. The message says he must do it quickly. Make a plan to reunite with your family, and then hangs up with the signal on. They say Kate's pocket attracts monsters. As expected, one of the spiders arrived towards the sound and carries her body away. And now that the way is clear, the man tries to move on. However, another monster grabs him and drags him away. A man sprays a spider with the remains of alcohol. He stuffs Kate with a bottle and sets her on fire with a lighter. When he finally emerges from the tunnel, he sees a huge monster moving between destroyed buildings around the city.